Мы ехали на машине.
We were driving a car. We were accompanied by military personnel. They pulled ahead. They're over there. Our car didn't make it through, so now we're walking. I'm short of breath because we're going uphill. The footage for this program was shot on both sides of the conflict. I'll show you life on both sides of the front, one after the other, so be patient. At the same time, I categorically don't support the military action of either side. I love my Armenian and Azerbaijani friends equally. Azerbaijani and Armenian. For me, human relations are much more important than nationalities, religions, citizenships, and even political views. The only reason I'm making this video is to show the horror of war. The horror that imprints itself in the eyes of babies, children, women, all peaceful people, who one day realise that the sound of shells is not muted, even if you crawl under your bed and cover your head with a pillow. In this programme, I will not choose sides. I will not gather war data from the fields, but I will try to show what people living on both sides of the front feel. First time in my life that I'm basically on my way to war, to a rough war. Very scary feeling. Because I opened up my newsfeed and I get the feeling that World War III is starting over there. A plane was shot down. A drone was shot down. 30 drones shot down. So you read the news and you realise where you're going. And your eyes pop out from the realisation. At this point in time, it's the hottest of all hotspots in the world. That's true. Nowhere today is this hardcore. I've got a totally strange feeling. Because when I go somewhere, some zones or neighbourhoods, I feel something. After years of work, you get a feel of these things. But I'm not a war correspondent. I've not been to hotspots. So right now I'm feeling absolutely nothing. I have no idea what to expect. People, be honest now. Do many of you know what Nagorno-Karabakh is? To be brief, it's an amazingly beautiful region with such nature that you could film a Hollywood blockbuster here, but not have to use CGI to complete the picture. The mountains, rocks, green slopes all look as if they're part of a painting. The size of Karabakh is slightly less than triple the size of London. But this region has a problem. First, take a look at your GPS navigator. Google Maps and all the maps of the world mark it as a territory of the government of Azerbaijan, but most of the population in the region are Armenians, who've been living here for several generations. The people controlling this territory at the moment were the ones who declared it to be the unrecognized Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. They have the absolute 100% support of Armenia in all spheres of life, social, military, etc. Each city has two names in GPS navigators. For example, the Azerbaijani name for the Karabakh capital is Kankendi. The Armenian one is Stepanakert. The two countries have been trying to share the Nagorno-Karabakh throughout the decades. It was several centuries ago that the first bloody conflicts occurred here, but the non-stop brutality has been going on for the last 30 years. During this period, there hasn't been a single year that people haven't been killed. Entire generations that consider each other enemies have grown up on both sides. Azerbaijan calls this the War of Liberation and says that it came to take back its own. Armenians consider Karabakh to be the Armenian land, their home, and they're ready to go to war for it. So we have a vicious cycle. We're entering the city right now. It's pitch black here. Outside, the streetlights are not working. Inside, there's no light in people's windows. It's not really night out right now. We're just told there are drones flying over the city. Even when we get to a hotel, we shouldn't turn on the light in our rooms. If we do have to do it, then it has to be brief, and with the curtains draping the windows. The city itself is in complete darkness for security reasons, so that the drones have difficulty identifying what is what. In the city, the driver has his headlights off, only flashing them from time to time to see where he needs to turn. At night, I will be woken by a bang. The soldiers will tell me that they shot down a drone.
Вот, слышите, сирена?
You hear the siren? That means it's an air raid. People immediately try to find cover somewhere, in basements. People are selling something here. Can I come in? Yes. Thank you very much. What people are most afraid of here are drones.
Это жилой район города.
Early Sunday morning, this residential area was hit. It was 7:20, 7:30 in the morning. Shells started to drop in front of this store. The debris is still here. The fridge was smashed. All the glass has been broken. The holes look like they're from bullets, but they were actually left from splinters scattering. It flew from above, landed right here and exploded.
Сверху летит, попадает сюда.
You get it on your feet and that's it. A few people were injured. By chance they left in the morning. They're lucky that it's not serious, but they're wounded. It was in the morning at 7:10. First there were 3 or 4 explosions over that side. Then they sent an aerial vehicle and they dropped it right here. Take a look. They dropped it here. The cars are standing. You'll probably be able to tell by the tyres. It's not just the tyres, but everything's like this. It's all of them. This is from a drone. From a drone, and people got lucky that it was 7:10 on a Sunday. Were it to happen on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a lot of people would have died. And children, because they'd be going to school. You see, we covered it. There were also ones that didn't explode here. They came. They're covering the holes right now. There were little holes here. There's another car. These shells are filled with certain damaging elements that look approximately like this. A metal ball bearing. In this yard there was a lot of shelling. Over here in the asphalt, they left. There's a crater here. Car windows. People are still taping them with scotch tape to keep the glass from breaking down completely. There's this car here. The shell fell right through its back window. The people came out as the car was literally burning. It's still here, burnt down. At some point the firemen were able to make it. You can see that the steering wheel is not completely burnt. The turn signals are plastic, but they made it. So there's a car in this state in this yard.
Какая атмосфера в квартире была вот когда?
What was the atmosphere like in the apartment when it happened? What atmosphere could it be? Small children inside. It was a terrible fright. Screaming? Yes, screaming. Fear. My son was 6 when they started to bomb in 1992. Now my grandson is 6 and they've started to bomb again.
Рядом здесь подвал, вон там бомбоубежище.
Over here, there's a basement, and the bomb shelter's there.
Is there anybody there?
Yes, let's go take a look. The depth matters. So this is used as a basement and as a bomb shelter. Mostly as a bomb shelter. This is a special building, as they say. So this is our bomb shelter. There's women and small children here.
There was storage here. What was stored?
It was a small storage space.
Tyres? Wheels?
Yeah, these are car wheels.
Ah, I get it. You stored them because...
Yes, we just store them here. It's mostly storage.
What was the first reaction? Fear? Panic? Something else?
Yes. It was fear accompanied by panic because we lived through something like this in 1991 to 1994. It's fear, panic, being scared for the children, for life. It was very scary. We're still in this state.
I'll tell you even more. We're used to it. It's not the first time. It's happened 4 or 5 times already. It's coming from Azerbaijan, the aggressor. They attack, they shoot, they kill. They're doing everything to make us leave. We are Armenians. We've been living here for centuries. They want us to get up and leave to our homeland, Armenia, or maybe even further to Russia.
Here's footage from the Azerbaijani side of the front. This is the city of Terter. Armenian media always affirm that they never launch missile strikes on residential areas of Azerbaijan. But we are about to show you proof of the opposite.
Ayağını sobutunu biz size bugünler.
At the moment, a refuge town is being shot at in the northern part of the Terter region. The filming crew is headed to the place where the black smoke is rising. This is a new town that was built for refugees. It was just fired at by 2 large-scale artillery mounts of the Armenian armed forces. A shell just fell there, and almost all the new buildings were subjected to fire. There's almost no whole glass left in the residential buildings. The walls have been scratched by shrapnel. A car that they didn't have time to move fell victim to a shooting. Look at what's left of it now. This is the main spot where the shell was dropped. It's here. As you can see, it's a very big shell, and it's being used against the civilian population. These are small towns built for refugees. Look at the state they're in. The sign on the building says Social Protection Fund. Inside, everything is smashed. The closets and tables turned upside down. Despite the massive destruction, we hear shells dropping somewhere nearby. Look, there are civilians standing here. Do you live here? Yes. Why do you think they're attacking specifically this neighborhood? They probably understand that they're losing, so they do what they always do, torment us civilians. They're done. This is what they're capable of. They're trying to harm civilians. They're done. You have shelter here? You've got everything. Let's go and show you. In the Azerbaijani town of Terter, things are the same as in Karabakh itself. Many people hide in basements, which a lot of people call spontaneous bomb shelters. They're built in such a way so the largest number of people could run into them from the yard nearby. Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
They're bombing.
Yes, they're bombing.
You're not in the shelter?
No, but I was there. But I'm on the street for now. This is our homeland. This is our home. Each part of Azerbaijan is a place of home.
Tell me, how do you feel in these conditions when there is constant shelling? Approximately how many shells blown up in this town?
I can't tell you exactly.
10, 15?
Yes, that much, maybe even more. But there's not even an ounce of fear in that regard.
But you still go down to the shelter during an attack?
Yes, we stay there with our family.
Can you show us the shelter, if it's not a secret?
Go ahead, everything's there. I just came from there. Over here. My sons are here.
Hello. 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 Let me ask you, you went down to the shelter. That means that there's shelling going on right now. How many missile strikes were there in Terter today? Who can say? Today there were more than 20. 20 to 30 approximately. Despite all, we're still here, like it's always been. The Armenians despicably attacked our places of residence. Were there losses today? Yes, as far as we know, there were. We're not afraid anyways. We're here. Do you have problems with food supplies? We saw that a lot of the stores are now closed. Do you have problems with the food supply?
No, we don't have any problems. Thank God we've still got food at home. We have our government. We have our city.
Sorry, but I meant in the last 5 days. The city officials are helping us. Are they doing this because you're such wonderful people? Or are they doing it for everybody? For everyone who lives in our neighborhood. The officials are helping and they're telling us that they're always there for us. I see everyone here except for the children. You sent them to your relatives or to another city?
We took the children to a place that's safer, but we're continuing to stay here. Each corner of Azerbaijan is important for us. But Terter is especially precious. Terter didn't give an inch of land to the enemy. Terter is a hero, just like its sons.
What is the cause of so much destruction, suffering and unhappiness? How and why do you endure all of this? We're always ready to fight to the end, to return our lands. We're ready to leave everything behind and go to war at any moment. We have no fear whatsoever. We've been watching these battles since 1992. Those of us that have stayed here. We stayed so that we could help our homeland when the time came. We're ready to help our army at any moment. Today I heard that the bus station was subject to shelling. Yes, one person died there. In your opinion, what is their goal in attacking Terter? They know there are no weapons or equipment here. They're just not stopping their despicable actions. They're trying to scare civilians. They know that they can't take on our army, so that's why they're targeting us. On my second day here, the guys volunteering gave me a bulletproof vest, and I decided that maybe I'll be calmer wearing it. Further along in an area with an open road, which can be seen by the other side, this road is shot at from time to time. Right now we're waiting for some people who came to accompany us on this road, but there's no guarantees here, as you can understand. The Armenians' TV film crew vehicle had one free spot. I used it. You have to understand that Armenian journalists, just like Azerbaijanis, have a relation to the conflict that is different from my own. This is their war. Everyone supports their own side. Everyone works in the interests of their country. War is terrible. It erases undertones and turns everything into black or white. Anyone who gets asked who Karabakh belongs to, be it in Azerbaijan or Armenia, will become either an enemy or a friend, depending on their answer. After that, the way you're talked to will depend on how adequate the person is. I simultaneously described 2 Armenian telegram channels and 2 Azerbaijani telegram channels. In the Armenian press, the Azerbaijanis are almost always portrayed as enemies doing inhumane things, and vice versa. The Azerbaijani press paints the Armenians as enemies who commit crimes. This is called an information war. This is why it's extremely difficult to understand what's really going on the battlefields. The information source is always a biased side. Azerbaijan says one thing, Armenia immediately refutes it, and vice versa. As a result, simple people choose the side that's closest to them and don't spend time checking each message. This is exactly how generations of people considering each other's enemies are formed. But let's get back to Karabakh. I was in a car with Armenian journalists on my way to the front line. As we approach the front line, I'll be honest, I'm feeling scared, especially here. We're driving and we observe this. This is part of a shell that fell from above and made this pretty significant hole. Now, I'm not a military expert, but I'm being told that it was supposed to explode. But the remaining part of the projectile is here in the road. It's lying there, and it'll continue lying. It's pretty scary that the road that you're traveling is shot at this way. As a neutral observer, I was thinking exclusively about filming the lives of peaceful civilians, and I was more concerned with not having a missile hit us on the way. But the guys understood that they were going to work for the good of their country, so they were cheering each other up and feeling that they were going to their war. The driver asked the accompanying personnel if they have an extra bulletproof vest for him. The answer is no, but he still goes on driving. To think less of the fear, the guy turns on music, and it actually does distract him. On our way we pass by huge metal cables. They are stretched between the mountains. This is against the airplanes and helicopters from the other side. We're not driving too fast, and all of a sudden we stop. The accompanying person in the car in front of us gets out and comes up to us. What's he saying? He said that we have to drive really quickly here. We get to the mountain ridge, which is very easy to target from the other side of the front. It's logical that the militaries on both sides are trying to direct missiles at cars, because they could be bringing weapons, missiles, supplies. This is war. Here they aim for whatever might aim at you. The driver is a guy younger than me, and he's tightly holding onto the steering wheel. Just look into his eyes. I think that you could see a similar expression in your own eyes when you rush full speed to save a friend who's gotten into an accident. You don't think of the fact that you could get into a crash yourself, you rush to help your friend. There's an unexploded MLRS missile sticking out right by the dirt road. Here's our driver trying to smoke with one of his hands. We constantly hear shots, but they're somewhere far away for the time being. They're still not that scary. I keep my hand on the door handle. Maybe it's foolish, but I think if something happens, then I can quickly open the door and jump out of the car. Let me remind you that this is the first time in my life that I'm going to such a place. All of a sudden we run into such a slope that our car can't go any further, and we need to continue by walking. We get out of the car. Usually once they notice movement somewhere, that area gets fired upon.
Машина наша по этим камням сюда проехать не может.
Our car can't get through these rocks. We're going by foot. Fuck. How far are we going to go? Where does our accompaniment go? They're there, nearby. How about we go? Crouching, we run and try to stay close to the hill. I have no idea if security measures work, but at the time, I wanted to believe that they do.
Блин, ну это ж пиздец, ребят.
Fuck guys, this is screwed up. What? This is fucked up. Yes. And later, we'll still have to go back. Yes, go back. Well, I mean, I don't know. The cruise cameraman had forgotten some bag in the car. He had to go back.
Слышно, что там мощно работает артиллерия.
We hear something massive working the artillery. And over there, there's a populated area. I'm winded because we're going up a hill.
И честно,
And honestly, because I'm very scared. Fuck. I'm in awe of the place where we end up. There's a bloody howitzer here. As soon as we get closer, the shelling starts anew. I drop down and roll almost head over heels to the trench.
блядь.
Fuck.
Короче, мы дошли до какого-то блиндажа. Сейчас мне...
We've gotten to some sort of dugout. I'm being invited to come in. I'm all for it.
Такая землянка, в общем, вырытая.
It's this trench they've dug.
Здесь люди сейчас...
There's people here.
Слушай, я не буду...
I'm not gonna hide it. I feel like crap. I've never been in such a situation. To watch all this with peaceful eyes,
Никогда никому ничего.
I'd never recommend doing something similar to anyone. To go through this. Fucking war is the most horrible thing I've ever seen.
Это блиндаж, который вырыли на одной из позиций. Здесь люди, ну, в общем-то, они не спят.
This dugout was dug at one of the positions. People don't sleep here. They're constantly keeping watch. There's ordinary sand on the ground. They put ammunition boxes here. There's an air extractor here to allow the air to get in, so that we could stay here. On top, there's this wooden overlay, an earth in case there's firing. Based on what I've heard on my way here, these zones are constantly fired upon. The horror of the place I've ended up in is that since the howitzer is firing, it means the other side can easily calculate where the firing is coming from and shoot back. Let me admit that I almost didn't leave this dugout. The fact that I personally shot the footage for this program from the Armenian side does not mean that I support the military action from the Karabakh side. No, but I don't support it from the Azerbaijani side either. I openly told everyone that. I was planning to film the conflict on both sides, and I was planning to personally spend time in Azerbaijani dugouts. I was waiting for authorization from the Azerbaijan Ministry of Foreign Affairs for over 2 weeks, but I didn't end up getting it. This was possibly because I'd visited Karabakh beforehand. The world's biggest media outlets, such as Al Jazeera and BBC, have the luxury of being able to send different reporters to different sides of the conflict. I was supposed to personally go to both sides. I didn't look for any conspiracy theories to explain me not being able to get into the Azerbaijani trenches, but instead I was looking for an opportunity to show how people suffer on that side. The one receiving the howitzer shots being fired from above me. Motherfucker. As you can see, the bombing is continuing. They're endlessly bombing the newly built town. The main objective is to scare civilians and make them leave their houses and empty the town. But the Armenian armed forces are incapable of doing this. This generating station is in a very bad state. It's dangerous to stay here, so we have to leave. Let's go to the shelter and we'll take a look at the state that it's in. People are hiding from the firing attack here. All the nuances have been taken into account. The population has an opportunity to protect itself at a high level. Actually, that's not an opportunity that everyone who's found their house amidst a battlefield has. Far from it. It was especially hard for people living in the rural areas, the houses with gardens next to them.
Literally 2 minutes ago, this specific house was hit by a shell of the Armenian armed forces. We can see the house burning right now. Local residents are urgently evacuating from here. We've once again witnessed how the Armenian armed forces are firing at peaceful civilians. It is really dangerous to stay here. We can see the house breaking down completely. This isn't the first time that this village is being shot at. The village residents tell us that it's rather dangerous to stay here. Our filming crew must leave this place urgently.
In Azerbaijan, the journalists working near the front line also travel the city by running from place to place, just like we're doing. They hide behind corners. They try to run to bomb shelters.
We've noticed that the artillery shelling is taking place literally every half hour. In the yard of each house on the front line, there are special shelters where civilians are hiding. Today, our filming crew also had to use them as the armed forces of Armenia are literally firing at the Tartar centers.
My arm was wounded, but that doesn't scare me. I'm not planning on leaving my home. We have a strong army. Everything that's possible is being done to protect us from the enemy.
We're in the Tartar village right now, the Tartar region. You can see here that the shell landed directly in the yard of a residential home. You can see the damage the local residents have incurred. This is a residential yard. You can see the dead pets. The firing started this morning, literally at 6 a.m. With our own eyes, we saw peaceful civilians being shot at. At the moment we are located in, we're being told to urgently leave here because firing's continuing.
The shells often drop in the middle of town. Here's some store windows so damaged that there isn't a single window that remains intact.
Here in my hand you can see a warhead. Here's a splinter for the shell. It's pretty heavy. Such shells are falling in the city centre. We can hear the artillery firing right now. We were filming earlier and filmed how a shell literally dropped into a peaceful resident's yard. Pets died. Livestock died. The firing has been continuing since 6 o'clock this morning.
The enemy's shell hit my house. It's a good thing that at that moment there were no children there. The neighbouring houses have been harmed. The residents have suffered serious damage. However, our spirit, it won't be broken. The firing started in the morning. I didn't realise how I grabbed my child and ran out of the house. All around are shell splinters. This is the state that our houses are in right now. Shell fragments are everywhere, even in the basements. I'm sure that the enemy will get what they deserve. We're located on one of the central streets of Terter. After yesterday's massive artillery shelling by the Armenian armed forces, this street, which used to have the bazaar and was one of the most densely populated streets, has turned into a sieve. All the shop windows have been broken. The stores have been damaged. Some stores were hit directly. Also, some shells have hit the road itself. The shrapnel smashed all the remaining stores. During interviews, people may be upbeat in front of the camera, but once the firing starts, they go to the bomb shelters. Literally every house has a shelter underneath it. In it, local residents have set a place for themselves where they can lie down and take a rest. They also have food and water and all the necessities here. The intense fighting is continuing. The Azerbaijani Ministry of Defense has also reported this. We can see that across the entire front line. The Azerbaijani army is conducting a counter-offensive operation. Cars don't just drive across towns now. They go at maximum speeds. The thinking is the quicker you go, the fewer chances that you'll be hit. The entire building is unusable. The first shell hit the first floor. The second one got the second floor.
Сейчас вот туман, и, в общем-то, наверное, это то, что...
It's foggy right now. God bless, that's what's saving us for now. I really hope we leave this place before the fog does. I mean, the positions of the military are constantly shifting. I mean, the shots taking place now are being taken almost blindly. We couldn't get out of this dugout for approximately an hour and a half. The longer we stayed there, the closer the shells were falling. I kept it more or less together during the first hour. Towards the end, when the Smerch missiles flew by really close to us, I started to panic, and my whole life flashed before my eyes. I was only remembering things about myself. I was remembering the people that I had filmed in nearby city the previous day. I was driven mad by the thought that I ended up here for only an hour and a half, but the people living on both sides of the conflict have been listening to all of this their entire lives. This is what I had the chance to film the previous day.
Вот сейчас слышно прям залп начался какой-то.
Right now you can hear some sort of salvo starting. We're being told by the people who met us here that there was a shell that fell here literally 3 hours ago, and it destroyed a house.
Слышите вот эту жесть?
You hear it? This is hardcore. It's somewhere really nearby. You can't see anything, but there's clouds, and it's hard to say where it's coming from. Right now we're in the city of Mataket, literally a few kilometers from the demarcation line. We can constantly and clearly hear explosions and ruptures from over here. A lot of local buildings are packed with bags underneath, on the first floor. I won't say exactly where we are right now. Literally 2 hours ago, a shelling took place here.
Что происходит? Что делаем?
What's going on? What should we do? Leave. What else is there to do?
Не понимаю, говорят, уезжаем.
I don't understand. They say we're leaving. So we're leaving.
Мы в итоге
Are we going to film the destruction or not? Where? Film what you can on the way. That day there was another driver at the wheel, a man over 50. The moment he heard the salvo, he hit the gas.
Ударил снаряд, вот здесь видно, что...
A shell hit here. You can see that the pharmacy and the store were blown up here. They're not letting me get out of the car because another one's about to start. The driver was going so fast that I was only able to film the damage inflicted on the residential neighborhoods by the Azerbaijani military out of the car window. The shots were taken by the Armenian television crew. I asked for their permission to show them to you. A ragged car, broken windows. Look at the speed at which the debris scattered. Even the metal partitions have been torn out with their roots. This is what happened to the building. They had a coffee shop banner on it and had a sign saying pharmacy. The bodies of the women who didn't have the time to flee were filmed by a passerby before they were taken away from here. Here's the next neighbourhood, some huge projectile near the parking lot. It turned into a huge puddle because of the rainwater. Nearby there are mangled cars, which have been damaged not only by the debris, but also by the blast wave.
Минута, как мне скомандовали залезть в тачку и...
A minute after I was ordered to jump into the car, and we heard the first explosion. Not an explosion, but a powerful bang. I can't tell how close all of this is. But based on the speed with which the man who's been at war since 1998 almost constantly is fleeing this place, I understand that I must listen to him. We're being told that intelligence data suggests that there will be a very powerful explosion right now, so we're really rushing away. An important point is that it gets dark pretty early. By 6, it's already dark, and it's impossible to drive the mountains without headlights. Driving with headlights is also impossible, because drones can take ideal aim by using the headlights. I shot this the day before I ended up in that ill-fated dugout. During the first day, I spent not more than 30 minutes on the front line. When we arrived in town, I saw that many people started to sleep in basements.
Оказывается, почти все здания в городе...
Almost all of the buildings in the city have a bomb shelter. This is an ordinary apartment building. This isn't a specially built bomb shelter. But the particular thing about the houses in this city is that they have basements below. There are zones here. They're fortified with very dense concrete. The zones are separated into several rooms. Right now, all these rooms have been equipped to be a bomb shelter, with people living inside. At the entrance, there's this rag hanging, so there's less wind coming in, because it's already getting cold at night. Next, you have real rooms. Here's a bed. They brought a real bed. This bed was self-made. They put some bricks down and placed boards on them. Put some more boards here, and there you have it, a bed. Here's a table. They're making coffee here. There's more than 10 people living here. Note how the children have quickly accustomed, or rather adapted to all of this. There's a baby here. There's a bunch of people talking. It's cold. The lights are on and the baby's sleeping. There's another room here. Here we have another fortification. There's a bed here. Here's a girl sleeping alone. She took off her slippers and went to bed. These are the conditions that people are living in.
They started to shoot at our city. All the spots. Gasification, electrification. Basically, they knew where they were aiming. They wanted to scare us this way and have us run back and forth hysterically and make mistakes. But that's not happening. They can't scare us. All of us women are ready to go to the end to ensure victory is ours. I personally served in our first Army Reserve captain. This was always our land and will always be ours. We won't give this land to anybody. We are going to fight to the end.
Что для вас, в принципе, идея о том, чтобы...
How do you look at the idea of leaving Karabakh? What does it mean to you?
Leaving is dying. Only over my dead body.
Why is it so important to you?
Because this is our homeland. We were born and raised here. Our ancestors are buried here.
During the first days of the conflict, the main fighting would take place in the frontline zones. But with time, the shots started to fly much further, tens of kilometers away from the front line. Ganja is the second most popular city in Azerbaijan. This is a crater from a missile hit. Its depth is a testament to the power of the missile, the blast wave. As well as this, the shell fragments have inflicted great destruction on the buildings. The roof and walls have been destroyed. The neighbouring building on the left has also been destroyed. You can see the traces of these splinters. Behind us is a building. It was also destroyed by the blast wave and the fragments. Damage has been inflicted. The windows have been smashed. A car with an Azerbaijani citizen inside it during the strike has been completely damaged by the shrapnel. The person inside the car sadly died. Look at this car and imagine what was happening to the person who was inside that car the moment the metal was bending and being hauled up. Just looking at the destroyed buildings makes me want to run and hide. Right now we're near the location where yet another shell hit. The entire street has been destroyed. The buildings also located near the crater have also been completely destroyed. The glass has been smashed, some windows, some walls have fallen. The shelling of the second largest city in Azerbaijan is underway for the second consecutive day. The brick building has large letters on it that say food store. In some spots, even the masonry on the walls could not withstand it and fell out onto the street.
At 12 o'clock, they fired 3 missiles. Then at 12:30, this happened. After the explosion, there was destruction everywhere. Later, we found out a missile landed here.
The walls inside barely withstood it. The stairs are holding on for dear life. The counters and stands are all in a bunch.
It looks like it dropped right here. We found out about it and came to help. The building belongs to a friend of ours.
The firing has been continuing since 6 o'clock this morning. The first time the missile hit a building of the local market. The second time it was an apartment building not far from here. The third time several missiles were launched and some of them were shot down by air defense systems. One of them hit this place. A couple of days ago there was an apartment building at the center of this crater. After the missile hit here, over 20 houses were damaged. In the surrounding area within a kilometer radius, glass has been broken in residential houses. There is huge damage. Also, another missile was launched at a place that is located approximately 5 kilometers from here. It's located not too far from the railway station. There are also dead and wounded there.
Allah saklamış beni Allah'ım.
This shelling, these deaths, the severe consequences that all of this brought on has seriously influenced the city. You hear everyone in every corner discussing the latest news that they're hearing. Who's been healed? Who got out? Who didn't? The situation doesn't tell us that there's some sort of fear in the city, or the city is afraid of something. It tells us that every Ganja resident has become more embittered. Every resident is looking at the situation differently now, and taking all of this more personally, because their relatives and friends are suffering.
The whole world needs to see and know that this is not humane.
The capital of Karabakh is Stepanakert, The city is also tens of kilometers away from the front line. The 4-story residential buildings also don't have a single window left in them. It seems like some parts of the roof were never there. Some shutters have polythene in them. People don't even install windows anymore. The shards on the cars are so big that you could fit your fist in them. This is what it looks like inside. An abandoned kitchen where a shell has landed after hitting the roof. One of the balconies has an unexploded shell stuck in it.
Вот так вот выглядит сейчас место.
This is what the area in front of emergency services, the rescue center, looks like. A missile landed right here. The military is saying that this wasn't a drone strike, but an MLRS Smerch missile. It's a huge thing, 7 or 8 meters long, a huge rocket. The horror of this missile is not that it lands in a specific spot, and of course it leaves nothing beneath it alive, but the terrible thing is that... God. There is a lot of debris everywhere, and the debris kills anything living. It kills people. That is the greatest horror.
Здесь внутри прям приличные разрушения.
There is significant damage inside here. The glass was shattered. The wall was broken through. Okay, I won't go there. The wall was seriously smashed. The bricks, the concrete blocks, they fell out. People have started to gradually move from the frontline villages to the capital of Karabakh because living on the front line is no longer bearable.
The children can't sleep, can't eat, can't talk. They're crying all the time, it's impossible.
How long have you not slept?
We haven't slept since the war started. We went to the village. We lived in the forest for 5 days.
Seriously?
Yes, with the children. We were in a small hut in the forest. Then we came to the village and we left today to take the children away from there.
You moved to the forest with the children?
Yes, we lived in the forest.
Was it an abandoned house or what?
An abandoned house. It was a farm where animals are kept. We lived there, mothers and 9 children, all in one room. We slept on the floor, you could say. We didn't sleep. We waited while there was bombing.
How did you eat?
We fed ourselves. They started to provide help later.
They brought it?
They brought help. They gave us help. We lived with this assistance. A woman died in her house from the bombing.
She didn't even go outside?
No, she was outside her house. It got bombed and she died at home.
That's horrible. How have the children been sleeping these days?
We can say they haven't been sleeping. They sleep and shake. They're scared. I've no words to describe it. How can you take a child? You turn on the TV. How can you have the child not hear it and not know what's going on outside? It's impossible to let the children go outside. We see a bird flying and they say, "Mom, look, there's a plane. That's it. It's going to fall down now, Mum." My daughter Susanna was so scared that she sat next to me to the wall and covered her ears to not hear all the voices of people coming in. But what can you do? No matter how much you cover your ears, you still hear those voices. It's impossible not to hear those voices.
Footage of an Armenian dad holding the hand of his wounded son spread across the entire Armenian segment of the internet.
We saw the drone roaring in the distance from our house. We took the children outside that they could hide or run away, but it didn't work. My 9-year-old daughter died either as a result of artillery shelling or from a bomb that was thrown by them. My little boy is seriously wounded. My wife is in hospital. They intend to hurt such small children. It's all they want, it's all they can do.
Here's the story from the Azerbaijani side.
I was sleeping at that moment. There was an explosion. I woke up because a beam fell on my head. I got up with difficulty and went downstairs and started to call my daughter and grandchildren. There was no reply. Then I saw all this devastation and I understood that it would be impossible to survive here.
They could not find the child's remains.
I cannot find the words to describe this monstrous crime. My grandchildren are nowhere. They couldn't even find parts of their bodies.
Stuffed toys and photos are the only remaining reminder of the family that remains somewhere among this debris. And these aren't the only rooms in Ganja that have been turned into ruins.
Сегодня в час ночи
At 1 a.m. today, this building, or rather what's left of it, was targeted by a missile of the Armenian armed forces. Initial reports suggest that as a result, 13 people have died and over 14 people have been wounded with varying degrees of severity. This is truly a military provocation, a war crime against peaceful civilians. According to preliminary data, there are reports that there were 3 missiles fired. The exact number is not known, but we can already say that 2 missiles were fired directly at this territory and 1 at the territory that was located 5 kilometers away from here.
What's left of the building is only a few walls, and they're incomplete. Ganja became a target for attacks in the beginning of October. Since then, the attacks have taken place regularly. This footage shows the scale of the destruction.
I was woken by the sound of an explosion. Everything that was in the room came crashing down. Every part of the wall fell on me. There were 3 of us at home, me, my wife, our 8-year-old son. My first thought was to get them and to feel they were alive.
It was such an explosion, it's unexplainable. We live far from here. It was very audible. These are peaceful residents, peaceful children died here. This is my land. This is the land of my ancestors. This is the land of my grandchildren. We will never leave here.
Ganja Azerbaijan'ın ürəyidir. Azerbaycan ürəyini.
Ganja is the heart of Azerbaijan. It is our hometown. It is our pride and honor. Before, when I was a child, Armenians lived here. We were friendly with them. We respected them. What they have done here is an atrocity.
The Armenian side, the city of Stepanakert, is also gradually turning into ruins. The same thing was happening in neighbouring Shushi. On October the 8th, a shell fell on a temple. Based on the photo, the explosion was powerful, and it severely damaged the temple. Karabakh and Armenian authorities accused Azerbaijan of purposefully destroying Armenian Christian shrines and historical monuments. The Azerbaijani Ministry of Defence responded by saying that it does not target religious or cultural objects. On October the 5th, the Ombudsman of Karabakh reports 19 peaceful civilians who had been killed. Among them 1 child, 5 women and 4 men were killed in the yards of their houses. The rest died in public spaces, on the streets, squares, etc. Is this kind of shelling common nowadays?
It was never this big. I've seen war 2 times here and it was never this big.
The longer the war goes on, the harder and worse are the consequences for both sides. In its first days, the holes were of 2 centimetre diameter. Then yards started to get hit with shells of 10 to 12 centimetre diameter. Then they started to be craters with a diameter of 1 metre and even more. Then houses started to turn into ruins. Now it's entire neighbourhoods. Both sides repeat the same thing. The Armenians,
All I can say is that we'll fight to the end. This is our holy land.
and Azerbaijanis,
There's no going back. How long can the occupation last? It's time to put Armenia, the aggressor country, in its place.
they turn each other's cities into ruins, but don't even think of retreating. They're so sure of their truth that they're ready to spend their entire life banging their heads against each other. And in this battle, could they notice the frightened eyes of their own children, who look into the faces of the adults with the hope that these tall people understand what they're doing? we got stuck in the dugout with the Armenian journalists, what I was thinking of was that I'd never forgive myself if I didn't come home and couldn't teach my daughter to ride a bicycle. To hell with this work. You can't travel the world, conquer it, and make everyone happy. You can always watch the reports of professional war correspondents who are working in the front lines even now. I understood that my war is not here. It'd be nice to deal with a smaller task for a person who will surely feel bad if they're not there.
Мы не можем выбраться отсюда уже.
We haven't been able to get out of here for an hour and a half. First we were in the dugout, and there was constant artillery shelling. Then we started to run out. On our way we had to constantly fall into the grass. The only reason that I'm doing this is to simply show this horror, the insane horror of war. This is fear, all of this. This is destruction. This is against everything human. It is absolutely against everything. I've never seen such horror in my life anywhere. In the 21st century, people can learn to live. People, can you learn to live without war in the 21st century?